So today we're going to talk about trees, obviously, and we're going to talk about a little bit about what the benefits of trees and urban forests. Does anybody know what an urban forest is? Anybody want to shout out something? Or I can. Basically, it's all the trees in our town, in our city, and there's urban forestry programs across the nation, some better than others, some really outstanding, but and that's what we're trying to do here. So we're going to talk about that, tell you a little bit more about the Tree Commission. I feel like it's a really good working group of people. We're just trying to make it better and a little bit more focused and notable. Talk about Avon Lake's urban forest, where we stand. Talk a little bit about tree care. It's a really important time coming up in a tree's life. Trees in your yard, trees in public places, and then a couple lists, long list of trees that are good for Avon Lake. I think will be good for Avon Lake, and then a little bit about Arbor Day, but we've already heard a lot about that. So anyway, so trees, there's been a lot of work done in the last 10 or 15 years on the benefits of trees. One of the reasons it was really hard to get funding to manage trees in cities and things. Some cities understood what it did for them. Other cities didn't, but a lot of work's gone into the environmental benefits, the economic benefits, and actually the health benefits for humans. So here's just a quick chart of things. Cooling, obviously, shade, reduces your air conditioner needs, biodiversity, mitigate climate change, lots of things that are good. And I put on a couple of these slides, I put a symbol that you can take your camera and take a picture of it, and you can go to a website, it'll give you a lot more information about the benefits, these general benefits of trees.
And I'm going to step over here so we don't whistle. One of the really interesting benefits that I learned during the Tree Academy classes was that there's been studies and studies again to show that young ladies who grow up in neighborhoods where there are trees and are allowed to go out and play with the trees have a better self-esteem for themselves. Children who have ADHD, if they can look at trees versus concrete and other buildings, that they're able to focus. We know that in very high risk communities, thank God we don't have one, but in some of the inner city areas, when trees are introduced to the school and the neighborhood area, crime comes down, okay? And the citizens actually help each other more. One of the things that I'm interested in, because I am under the infrastructure part of Avon Lake, is that trees help to cool our asphalt, so our streets last longer. Go ahead.
We might see that again. So some facts and figures. Larger trees give more benefits. The bigger they are, the more shade there is, the more water they transpire, the more dust they intercept, the more habitat they produce for birds and things. So, and they also increase home values. That's a give. These are studies that have data behind them that people gone out and collected. So they increase home values by anywhere from 3 to 15%. Homes that are adjacent to parks, like Resitar Park or any of the parks in town, are valued at 8 to 20% higher than homes that are away from parks. And that tends to decrease about a half a mile away, then that goes back to a break even. And then building costs, a lot of developers, and you've seen it around here, and we'll visit this again a little bit later, developers like to clear the lots before they build. It makes it much easier to get equipment moved around. What they don't know is if they take their time to protect those trees properly, the value of those, they can get that back, and the value of those houses, people will pay more for houses that already have mature, healthy trees on them that won't die in 5 years after they've run over them. So
I want to add to that when the contractors go on there, they're not there with rakes and shovels, right? They're with heavy equipment. So what are they doing to the soil? They're compacting it. What do you need to live? You need air. You need oxygen. So do trees. So do tree roots. Most tree roots are not deep tree roots. Most tree roots go out to the side. So when we say protect the trees, we're talking about the area around it so that contractors will not be coming in. And you're going to be seeing legislation come before council that's going to help to control that. Thank you.
Yeah, at least they say to protect them at least out to the drip line. And I've personal experience digging up trees on a strip mine where you think of really compacted soils and things, but we measured tree roots on trees that were 6 feet tall that went out 30 feet. That's like a 3-year-old tree. So big trees definitely send them out, way out there. So in business areas, there's some more facts and figures. People tend to spend more time in areas that have trees around their shopping areas, and people will travel farther to a nice place to shop that has trees versus a big box store that has nothing around it. So gray infrastructure, Jen alluded to this. Pavement life is much longer when it's shaded. It doesn't get hot and cold, causes cracks. We're going through that right now, obviously with wintertime, but in the summertime that asphalt can get very soft and tires can rut it and things like that. Trees really help with that. So it's a gray infrastructure. The green infrastructure is benefiting the gray infrastructure.
One of the things that you might have seen this past week over council was that we had a specialist come in who was talking about how to extend the life of the roads. Well, by extending the life of the asphalt roads, by putting emulsion down inside the pores, if you would, of the asphalt, we're actually helping the trees too.
So I alluded to the social benefits, and Jen hit on some of these too, but these studies are much more recent. There's another place you can there's a long report that talks about all these benefits to people personally and as a social group, decreasing crime and things like that. Depending on some social groups are afraid of the woods, are afraid of nature, and it's a thing to. When I work with Cleveland Metro Parks, we worked with some inner city youths and things, and trying to get them out in nature, and it's just it's a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge of what is there. That you can make up a lot of things about what's hiding in your closet at night when you're asleep, and that's the kind of thing that goes on there. But there's these proven benefits of what nature and forest can do for you from a social and human health standpoint.
Right, and one of the main studies that all the other cities are looking at came out of the Cuyahoga Department of Health. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Cleveland Metro Parks worked with Cleveland Clinic on some studies of how nature helps people heal in the hospital. And we did have a talk here, I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, talking about this forest bathing. This is what the Cleveland Clinic study was looking at. They were taking people out and walking them in nature as they were getting better from hospital visits. And it was spot on how it improved physiological characteristics within patients at the hospital.